how do you encourage someone to sprout at home? Because broccoli sprouts are not the only sprout. There are, like I said before, I like the radish sprouts.
Yeah.
I've had your clover sprouts. What does a good system look like at home so that you kind of time it, because each of them have their own
stagger. You
sort
get
of days.
You get multiple sprouters, and that you stagger. And the same way people brush their teeth, or they should, a couple times a day. Sprouting becomes very easy, and the main thing is they have to literally want to be healthy. They want to have vitality. And intellectually, people get it when you understand, like, hey, this is living food, and one scoop of broccoli sprouts is the equivalent of a whole head of mature broccoli.
It actually is quite incredible. So like the first time I did this, I put one scoop of broccoli seeds in here, and by like day 5, this entire jar was
bursting
like
out,
jam-packed, bursting with broccoli sprouts, which probably down at Air One would have cost like $40 or something.
Well, that was one of the things. I had a great, as you know, $135 million education with Juicero that I'm so grateful for. But one of the things is, like, a Juicero juice was $7, and you went to Air One and the juice was $7. Now it's
cheap.
Now it's $10, right? But with sprouts, you can go buy sprouts for $5 a serving, or you can grow them at home for 50 cents. So there's a 10x economic leverage, and the product that you're getting at home is even fresher. And so this is something that we're seeing, this movement that since I wrote the book, literally hundreds of thousands of people are now sprouting, they're communicating, and we're seeing a little movement sprouting.
Where are the main places that someone could go wrong sprouting at home? Because you've been sprouting for so long now. I imagine your sprouts are like A-grade sprouts. Yeah. What's the difference between you and someone that just starts out?
I mean, the main thing is someone's not present. So if you miss, if you start the process and you soak the seeds and then you forget about them, after a couple of days, the seeds will be waterlogged.
Whereas you're meant to soak the seeds for like 8 hours the first
8
time.
hours or overnight.
And then you give them a rinse a couple times a day and just put them back.
The real optimum plan is 12 hours a day. Now, this was another public service. I created the Sprout app free download on the App Store for free. And it guides you for free. Add your seeds, whether you're using our sprouting jar or a mason jar, the like doesn't matter. And it gives you push notifications to remind you of when to sprout, when to harvest, when to rinse. So that was kind of the fail safe that we wanted to have on it. But the main thing someone literally has to decide is, and I know Dr. Joel Fuhrman, do you want to eat to live, where you're eating things that support your body, your health, your mitochondria, or do you want to live to eat? And are you fantasizing about food the way you are about pornography? Like, that's the real goal. And that's the challenge, is that food is a drug. And to me, it's the number one drug in the world, because it has instant gratification. You take a bite into something, the brain chemistry goes off, the dopamine goes off, and then you're trapped. And the reason why you can't have one, potato chip is that combination of the salt and the oil and the sugar. But with sprouts, I can tell you, nobody is overeating raw sprouts. Nobody, myself included. And it brings us back to pure nature, like an animal in nature, like a lion, the king of the jungle. We'll eat one gazelle, and we'll eat every part of that gazelle, and then he'll go nap. He's not overeating. Like, he's not overeating because there's a self-regulating part of the body when the chemistry goes off. But if you're eating things that are texturized and over-processed with the oils and the salts, you're just basically your brain.
Those foods have been created to exploit the biology.
Exactly.
Our biology by clever people who are first and foremost thinking about how to build a business.
Yeah. And so what happens is when you're going back to sprouting, and I say this, I didn't discover sprouting, I rediscovered sprouting and every single thing about it. So the other thing is you have to rinse the seeds and rinse the sprouts in accordance with this, 12-hour protocol, on, off. And then you need to, eat them, or store them in the refrigerator, for 2 or 3 days in a non-seal airtight container. If you put them in an airtight container and they're alive, they will become mealy because they...
Can you store them in the fridge just in this?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I do all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
and what's the risk of like salmonella or some other type of harmful bacteria?
Jed and I was concerned. That was the theoretical elephant in the room. And so we studied along with Jack Smiloff, a data scientist from the UK, where we studied 25 years of foodborne illness, hospitalizations, outbreaks, and deaths. And turns out, like in simple, numbers, regular lettuce is, sprouts are twice as safe as regular lettuce, 10 times safer than meat, chicken, fish, dairy, and, you put unpasteurized milk and it gets even further. So sprouts are really safe.
It's interesting because I do think there's a stigma out there where
because no one defended them.
A lot of folks think about sprouts and immediately it's like, not sure I really want to risk getting food poisoning.
Yeah, because what happens is these other industries, they have lobbying, they've got PR, they've got disaster recalls. There's never been, as far as I've tracked, never been one food recall, one instance of homegrown sprouting, causing outbreaks and deaths. And the seeds.
Well, that recall would be pretty small.
No, it wouldn't.
If you're growing it at home.
No, but it wouldn't be because the E. coli 0157H7 comes from animal feces, which would contaminate the seed. And then if you got it at home, you'd have it.
Oh, so it would be a seed problem.
It'd be a seed problem. Now, when we studied the outbreaks, and I even called Jimmy John, right, who had food outbreaks, and we studied it. Most of the situations with the sprouts was because of poor handling, cross-contamination, and sanitation within the handling of it. So that's where home sprouting, you get the seed and you can, if you have a desire, and I wrote the protocol, it's everywhere, you can surface sanitize the seed and reduce, pathogens on it by 2 million to 1. As another factor, what we do is we take batches of seeds, we grow out a batch, we take the wastewater and we send it out and see is there any pathogens on it.
So this surface sanitization is a place where you and I do things a little differently. I'm just always, because I started out my sprouting life so long ago, I do surface sanitization on the seeds before I undergo sprouting. But
what does that look like?
I use something that a lot of organic adherents don't like. I use Clorox. I use about 1 to 10 Clorox in water.
Bleach
for 10 minutes. And then I rinse the hell out of them.
That's not negatively affecting nutrient content?
Not at all.
And that's not harmful?
It turns into saline and it rinses off. Yep. And basically, an alternative, when we were doing, we did a 1-year study with Dr. Greg Gilbert at University of California at Santa Cruz. We funded the study and we researched it. And basically, as an alternative to the harsh Clorox bleach, you could take a pinch of salt and a electrolysis and it will generate sodium hypochlorous versus sodium hypochlorite. Alternatively, you could use glacial acidic acid, also known as white vinegar. You could use parasitic acid. You could use hydrogen peroxide. Apple cider vinegar
doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Okay, you'll read about that online.
But you could use parasitic acid. You can even just use warm water at 120 degrees. What do I do?
And what do you recommend?
What I recommend, knowing where your seeds are coming from and then sprouting.
But with your seeds that you've third-party tested, so you're comfortable just sprouting straight away.
I feel very comfortable. For me, my pregnant wife, my child, I feel very, very comfortable. If someone has a degree and they may be immune compromised, they may be old, there is a protocol. We published it. Jed uses it. He's done guides where it says how you soak the seeds in a rapid oxidizing, sanitizing agent for the 10 to 15 minutes. You rinse it off and then you proceed sprouting. But it is literally the amount of issue. When I started to write the book, people were talking about mold, right? So I did the research and I found out like the odds of it's probably easier to win the lotto, small amount, than it is to get mold on the sprouts. Like it's so rare. But now, 7 years later, when you research sprouts, nutrient dense superfood. Like we shifted the narrative across, the global sphere by publishing papers, by doing the research, by doing the work. So now I feel like it is a non-issue.
When it comes to gut health, I couldn't find a supplement that did it all. So I formulated one with gastroenterologist Dr. Will Bolsowitz. It's called Daily Microbiome Nutrition, or DMN, by 38 Terra. And to our knowledge, it is the most complete prebiotic formula on the market today. We built DMN to support a healthy, diverse microbiome, which we now know plays a critical role in everything from digestion to immunity, metabolism, and even brain health. What sets DMN apart is that it contains clinically proven doses of ingredients like actazine and solanol, and it's a very concentrated source of polyphenols, all conveniently combined to nourish your gut bacteria and promote true microbial diversity. No artificial sweeteners, no gums or fillers, just science-backed, plant-based ingredients in a once-a-day, incredibly delicious drink. So if you're looking to fuel your microbes and enjoy all the benefits that come with that, head to 38terra.com and use the code SIMON for 10% off. That's 38terra.com and use the code SIMON to feed those gut bugs.